Hello and welcome into Off Topic with Laird. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Apologies for the tech issues this morning. I actually have absolutely no idea what happened. I use like a streaming server. I use Streamlabs Talk Studio. For some reason, my stream disappeared on my screen. You guys could see it. I couldn't see it. So I had to do another one. But we worked through it. Thank you to everybody for coming. Again, apologies for the mix-up. For everybody who's watching this afterwards or is listening, it's all the same to you. But everyone who is here, and I greatly appreciate you guys coming here live. It's an inconvenience for you, and I get it, and it bothers me. And I say I fix it, but I have no idea how to fix it. So we work through it. So I don't even know who was first in the other chat. Somebody surely, but ZM starts saying the money clip is sending out interference. I have my money clip. I don't even have my money clip on me now. But yeah, thanks for everyone. Let's talk about anything but the cash wallet. I was going to talk about something completely different on Sorare Andrews with Andy yesterday. And we're like, maybe we'll like touch on the cash wallet for a little bit. And it took the whole show. John Andrews, will you be showing us how to cut up a pineapple with your money clip? That I cannot do, but I do have the pineapple thing. I should have brought it. Maybe my next show we'll do a pineapple cutting exercise because that'll be fun. Numero was saying Nep was first. I don't even know if Nep is here, if he came over or not. He seems like somebody who would be like, you can't get your shit straight, then I'm just not coming. So I get it. But thank you everyone for coming. Alex Wilson with the very important Forza Midtjylland goodbye Gustav AGF versus Bruges low coverage pain. I mean, well, that's not true. Not the only had. I had Vanaken too. That was a bummer. The Gustav Isaacson one, that's a real killer for me. And maybe that is something that I can talk about now that's not the cash wallet. So let's see what you guys think about this. I have a Midtjylland collection. You may have heard. And within that Midtjylland collection is a Gustav Isaacson jersey mint. Sorry. Matchflow said you forgot the RSL Leon game. Which is also another one. I actually didn't have anyone playing in that one, so I was cool with that. But anyway, so I got the Gustav Isaacson jersey mint card from Sir Hiss. And I had, at the time when I was building my Midtjylland collection, I had no intention of getting Isaacson because I knew he was trying to leave. And if he was trying to leave, then there was no reason for me to have him other than for collection bonus. And the problem with buying him for the collection bonus is he was by far the most expensive player. So it's like, why would I buy the most expensive player who was going to leave and therefore would not actually help my Midtjylland stack? So my plan was just to completely ignore Isaacson. And he's a tricky one because he also has midfielder and forward cards. And like a lot of cards, or a lot of players, we would prefer the forward version. And I actually, let me see if I can pull this up somewhere. I actually don't have a lot of U23 midfielders, but I have a few U23 forwards. So the Isaacson midfielder card actually made a little more sense to me than, meaning made sense in my gallery. And so I wanted to, but I was going to skip them anyway. And before I keep going, Numero said you wanted to answer a question about what you do for SorareData when you were not streaming and forgot the last office hour. I will talk about that. Everyone here, if you want to hear that, I don't know if everybody wants to hear it, but if you want to hear about what I do in my fake job, I will be happy to talk about it. So, and it's not about the cash wallet. So that's on the list right now. So anyway, this Isaacson thing, it's really funny. I was talking to somebody earlier today about how I don't like talking about my own gallery, and here I am. Anyway, so I decided to skip Isaacson because what I wanted was a Midtjylland stack. I wanted to be like, I'm going to take this awesome Danish team with a really cool jersey. I don't like the ones this year as much, but these are cool. And a cool logo, and we're just going to go win everything with it. But their best player was leaving, so like I don't need him. and I don't want to pay extra just for collection bonus. But then this damn jersey mint showed up that I got basically for no premium over his other cards. And that's where it really started to be frustrating to me, because I didn't need this card. I didn't want it, but one of the traders had it, and I had things I could give up for it, and I did it. And I felt stupid doing it. And now I feel even dumber because I knew what I was doing, but I did it anyway. So, making matters worse, Isaacson missed 2 penalties in 2 consecutive game weeks and then got a DNP this midweek. So he has successfully killed 3 lineups. And knowing that I didn't want this card. Ian Sorare said, afternoon, Laird, could I put in a ticket? Not here, you cannot. To get teams on the score screen being in the correct position on SorareData. Thank you. On the score screen. I don't even need to, you don't need to submit a ticket for that, because that doesn't come from us. It comes from Opta, and Opta screws it up. I think we're trying to figure out a way to fix it, but like that's directly from our Opta feed. If you're thinking of the screen that had like other guys in goal who were not actually goalies. Burger said just get Gaesung. I thought about this, but I have Aral Simsir, who is somewhere here. Here he is. So I don't really need it. So ZM Star said Nep's hypnotizing you with the collection bonus chase. So I will admit that I did also talk to Nep about this. But anyway, so I have this Isaacson card. I know he's leaving. I should have sold it or traded it last week, but I didn't. Or I should have done it like yesterday, but I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because I had him in a midweek lineup, and it was like, oh, do I try to like get a reward with a 0? And it was just like, just do it. And the problem is now the floor is so much lower that it's almost like not even worth it. But really what I should do in terms of collection, and this is what I talked to Nep about, I should get rid of this Isaacson card and then just overpay for, like, it's the only jerseyman I have in this entire collection. So I should just overpay for somebody else's jerseyman, or one of. That is obviously going to be significantly cheaper, because right now I have zero intention of using Isaacson in any lineups, and I have a jerseyman. Bouncy saying, why wouldn't you sell it for a premium? So none of the traders will give me a premium for it because they have no reason to. So I need somebody who really wants this card and is willing to pay more for it. And as you can see, the floor is tanking because he will not score as well at Lazio as he will at Midtjylland. Like somebody, Alex Wilson, he could still bang at Lazio. Who knows? Yeah, he could be really good under Sarri. There is no chance. At least this season, there's no chance he scores as well. Like 0.5% chance. And so I'm going to end up holding this card forever. I'm going to tell everyone right now, like that's going to be the outcome. Matchlow said you definitely need an Olsen card in this deck. I have an Olsen. It's just an Anderlecht card because I wasn't willing to spend more for the Midtjylland version when I got it. And the let's see here. Oh, I might have traded for my Olsen. I did. I traded Noah Ohio rare for Christopher Olsen, which right now looks like I won this one. But again, so I got this on July 3rd. And on July 3rd, I'll just like zoom in on this area, because like on June 30th, July 3rd, his Krasnodar card was $126. His Anderlecht card was $126, 138. But like the cheapest Midtjylland one a few days earlier was $173, 181. Shout out to SR Monkey. Anyone who doesn't know, SR Monkey started a new Sorare podcast called the Sorare Ramble. Have not listened to the first one yet. Came out yesterday, but I like SR Monkey, so I assume it's good. So anyway, the Burger said, will you get a Midtjylland jersey? Sure. I don't really like the new ones though. Like the new season jerseys, they're like the huge They're not even hoops. I don't even know. They're gigantic stripes, sort of. This one I kind of like. Yeah, I like this. This is a cool jersey, just black. I kind of like black jerseys. I don't buy them, but they are. Oh, SR Monkey's here. Thanks for checking in. SR Monkey, if you want to drop a link to the podcast, it's just a podcast for now. But if you want to drop it in the chat so everyone else can go subscribe, I already subscribed on Spotify. That's where I listen to my podcasts. But anyway, so I don't know what to do about this Isaacson card. I don't think anyone will give me reasonable value for it. And I realize that that sounds really stupid because what I consider reasonable value is not what other people. And I know that there are other Midtjylland collectors out there, but there's no benefit to getting Isaacson now for anyone else. I'm doing a really bad job of like selling this card that I want to get rid of. But anyone who has a Midtjylland collection and they have the collection because they play the cards in a stack, why would you want this Isaacson card? Unless it's somehow... So A, why would you want this Isaacson card? And B, if you needed a jersey mint, just like to help your collection score, just get anyone else. Because he's literally, well, I guess Olsen's probably more expensive. Well, he's not more expensive yet. But Alex Wilson, I want no part of your Thomas Delaney. Thank you, though. So it's just like one of these cards that I'm going to end up sitting on forever and just hope that he comes good. And then we can all talk about like, oh, yeah, I have his jersey mint. Yay. Let's see what I actually gave up for this card. Because at the time, it didn't feel like it was fine for me. Let's see. Kevin McAllister, rare. Yasuto Wakizaka, rare. And Lorenz Assignon, rare. I think I talked about this on the show now. And 0.025 ETH. So Wakizaka and Assignon were rewards. And I was actually just talking to It's Haber about this, that when we get rewards, we consider their cost zero and it affects how we trade them because we're like willing to take less value on them because they didn't cost us anything. And yeah, it's a weird thing. And McAllister, I think I also got via trade. Oh no, I did. I just bought that one. Let's see. Sorja says, would you prefer his forward card? Like I don't want his card now. Like I think Isaacson is a bad card to own now. And so I don't want anything. SR Money, I want, how much would I pay for, or how much did I pay when we just went through that? How much would you want? I just want triple what he's worth. I'm just kidding. To be honest, I don't know where I value him now. It's one of those things that like, I don't think about the values of my cards until I want to get rid of them. And I just realized I said I want to get rid of them, but like I need an actual transaction where I'm like, oh, that's a card I want. Because I really enjoy card trading and like building trades. And so once I find a card I want, it's like, oh, well, how much is Isaacson worth? And it just seems like I'm selling low at this point now. And that seems like not a great way to play the game, is selling low. But everybody's selling. Like there are so many on the market because, and they're still auctioning him, which is, oh, Roof just got one too. So this is when you know it's bad. Oh wait, sorry, I took the screen off. This is when you know it's bad. When you have a card you want to get rid of and you look back, it's like, oh, who got them? Oh, Rody Boss, Franco trade 120%, Pavel Trader, Ruve, Sirhis, Ruve. These are all rares too. So it's just, yeah. Alex, I feel the same way. I'm too emotionally invested in Midtjylland to sell my limited. Yeah, I should sell now. Like it's obvious that I should sell now. But I don't want to like cut, like I feel like I'm giving something up. Like this is what's wild. 21 hours ago, somebody unfortunately paid $531 that they clearly didn't know this transfer to Lazio was happening. And yeah. Into Rosie, would you be interested in a new money clip as a trade for Isaacson? I should get like 10 money clips for this Isaacson. ZM Star said, I've said it before in a stream, but you're never obligated to hold the floor, especially on a reward you don't want. This wasn't a reward, though. Oh, you're just saying back on the reward thing. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I really cannot think of a situation where I am like confidently lining this card up. And Kevin Hurt said if he bangs at Lazio, it's a masterclass hold. Like, it's not, though, because if he bangs at Lazio, I have a Midtjylland version of his card. So anyone who has like Lazio cards doesn't want it. And theoretically, if you have a Midtjylland collection and he somehow fits your gallery elsewhere, then that's sure, that could work. But the number of those people, like, could be zero. Could be literally zero people who have like a Midtjylland collection where the jersey mint Gustav Isaacson makes sense. And he bangs enough at Lazio that they want him for either a champion Europe or U23 card. And so, yeah, Alex said the best we can hope for is that he makes an impact out of nowhere like Kavica did, which, yeah. Yeah. Into Rosie said, I think it'll be comparable to Cherney moving to Wolfsburg. I have no doubt that he will be good for them, but his SO5 will never be the same again. So the only reason I hesitate is because Isaacson's like kind of young. And so like if Lazio doesn't work out, he could go somewhere else, go down a division, meaning not like Serie B, but could go to Eredivisie or Jupiler League or somewhere where he could bang there. And the Blue Tomato said you don't have to own a Lazio collection to buy Isaacson, especially if he bangs there. Like that, you're absolutely right about that. You're right. I just, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I know the floor is tanking. And when the floor tanks, this is when you're like, oh, I should get out of this card. And I don't know. Berger said, what if he went to Lazio and gets loaned out? I just don't see Lazio doing that. Maybe, but I don't think that's the plan. Rikaman said, I never understood why some cards go up when there's a transfer, especially because most transfers are to a worse SO5 team. Yeah, there are some that yeah, this is a prime example of a card that goes down because they're going to a worse SO5 situation. And I don't know. Part of me is like, I didn't really give up much. Like Assignon, I never used. Wakizaka, I had won like that week. And then J League I feel like they haven't played in months, even though it's been 2 weeks, I think. So I was like happy to get rid of that card. And then the McAllister, I don't think he's going to do as well at USG than he did at Argentinos Juniors, at least right away. And so I don't feel like I gave up a lot for this card. So it's like I'm willing to just hold on to it for now, but it's such a pain to just, I hate looking at it, partially because he ruined 2 game weeks for me. Like I had like an awesome lineup with him in it, and then he missed a penalty. And then I had another awesome lineup in it, and he missed another penalty. Let's see if we can, this feels like a little bit a throwback to what did I used to call this show? Rabbit hunting, excuse me. I guess the lineup I had this week when he didn't play was not good. Not good enough, but let's see. Because here we go. 379 points, and Isaacson missed a penalty in this game. And he had 2 big chances missed. Like, that's killer. Yeah, Alex is right. The second one, this game, he drew the penalty and then took the penalty and missed it. And then had a horrible big chance missed later in the game. And then the game week before, is it 391? Maybe it was the weekend before, and I don't feel as bad. Or I've just lost it. I don't know. It's probably better he moves on. We come on said, Trimidi just moved from Sporting to Everton and his price is up. It's more than double of McNeil, their best scorer, and he's about to get way more cards. I don't even know who that is. Trimidi. Oh, he went that way. Excuse me. Oh, wait. His price doubled. I mean, this guy? And his, I mean, I wouldn't say his price is up. There's been like no transaction. I mean, he has like no cards. Last rare was 7 months ago, and Pavel got one 2 days ago. I mean, the floor is up because people get excited, but I don't know. I also have a Dwight McNeil, so I'm a Dwight McNeil stan. Yeah, bouncy, RIP King Zayla. Yeah, oof, speaking of killers. Whoops, sorry. Burger, would it be correct to say that Sorare doesn't have a market that is mature, meaning it reacts irrationally to transfer? There is nothing rational about the Sorare market. Nothing. But that's okay. It's just the game we play. I don't think you could realistically look at the Sorare market and think there's any rationality to it. I think you can find trends, and there's that. But let's see. For those of you who are unaware, the charts page is now linked on the front, on the homepage. But like, let's see. Like, is this rational? It's kind of wonky. How much volume would be needed to reach a level of rationality? I honestly, I don't think it's actually a volume issue. I think it's a rationality issue. I think it just needs to be more stable. And I don't think you can, I think the market is actually, it's one of those weird things that I think it's actually stable in totality. Not stable. It's closer to rational in totality than it is on an individual card level, because there are outliers everywhere. And like, that's what we focus on. We're just like, oh, look at the price of this guy and how wild it is. And frankly, I mean, any chart you look at now, everything is just down anyway. I mean, the best players in the game are down significantly because of a bubble that we all want to pretend it was real life and that we're just in a dip now. But like, obviously this is a bubble. But I think that, so when everyone looks like this, theoretically that makes it a rational, or at least it's not even stable, understandable. I don't know what the right economic term is, but it's a, I don't know. Burger, I agree here though. I guess the tie into crypto is why we get such high highs and low lows. Like, crypto definitely has a, like, if this was a fiat game the entire game time, and you're not going to get me talking about the cash wallet, but I think that's what absolutely sparked a lot of the runs in every direction. And part of it was just people who had ETH, cheap ETH, or were willing to spend it. So everything went up. Yeah, Wedge Game said efficient. I don't think efficient is really it. I don't know. I don't think it's efficient or rational or stable. I'm doing a really good job selling this game, aren't I? But I don't know. What I actually think we need is not necessarily market stability, but market, and this is not a word, understandability. People need to understand why cards go up and down. And a lot of times they went up and down for things that were completely unrelated to the game. They had to do with Ethereum. When Ethereum spiked, and then all of a sudden, like, you could make the argument that, so people were like, yeah, but for fiat, it didn't change that much, but like it did. And it changed because people who had ETH all of a sudden had a lot more fiat or a lot less fiat. And so the market reacts that way. It actually was less about the total amount of money, and it was the number of people who had money. Blue Tomato said, did Sean give you a course on what? Oh, on selling? I got you now. Sorry. I thought you were going to say, taught me about crypto. And I'm like, I don't think it was Sean, but now I get it. Now I get it. If anybody doesn't get it, go watch that shit show of a Sorare Andrews yesterday, which was easily one of the most fun hours I've had talking Sorare in a really long time. I would find it weird if there were people who watched this show and not Sorare Andrews, but if you're one of those people, go check it out. Really good time. ZM Star calls it regression to reality. I don't think there's no reality in this game yet, but we'll see. Tom Olivier, that's how I'd say. Trade market is just as rational. But yeah. Oh, Charlie, thank you. The episode yesterday might have been the best pod ever. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, so the market, I just don't think that we get any benefit from deciding it's an efficient market. Like it still doesn't really help us. Like there are plenty of efficient markets that still make no sense to people. And so ultimately, whatever we call the market doesn't matter. We have to deal with the market. It is what it is. It's not like we're going to be like, oh, wait, this is an efficient market now. So now you can't sell this card for whatever amount. Like it doesn't work that way. So I don't really know what, I do think that the move to fiat will make the market more stable. I don't necessarily think that makes it stable, but I think it gives us at least one major factor that is no longer there. One major contributor to the volatility that's not there anymore. And so that theoretically benefits everyone, because now you can look at price graphs, and instead of being like, oh yeah, but like what did ETH do back then? And because ETH was really high or low, people had all this money, and so they could buy more cards. Like I think a lot of people think that, oh, ETH's high, so like people have more money and they spend, but it's actually like more people who are willing to spend. And that is different, because now we're actually increasing the demand in addition to the ability to pay for cards. And those two things are different and both really important. JVic said, off topic, which perfect, why we're here. Do you think you'll continue to follow Midtjylland if or when you sell your collection? Do you feel connected enough that you'd want to fly to Denmark to watch Midtjylland someday? JVic, excellent question. I am taking those cards to the grave. But the real answer to your question is I would love to go to Denmark to watch a Midtjylland game. And there are a lot of places I'd like to go to watch games. Sorare has done that to me. And not being in Europe makes it a little more cost prohibitive. But I would like to do a tour one month. And I don't think it's happening anytime soon. And I hope that Sorare's around when I have the time and ability to do this. But Denmark is 100% on the list. And I would love to go watch a Midtjylland match in Denmark. Absolutely. And if you told me that 3 years ago, I would have legitimately laughed in your face that I would ever even consider that. And so, yeah. Berger with the great news here that Lee Hanbum had a penalty conceded. I knew that. I didn't actually know that they even played today. I have them in a lineup. I have 2 Lee Hanbums. I have 3. I have a rainbow. And let's see what he ruined. I had one in Academy. Never mind. So that one's actually, we avoided the limited. All-Star Rare. Just show you guys. Chris Brady, Lee Hanbum, Gabriel Florentine, Emmanuel Reynoso, and Cecina. That one is dead now. And I played him in U23 Rare Pro, which is also dead. Yay. Burger. Oh, Bake saved it. Really? Oh, I didn't even know that. Alex said it was a rubbish call. Since it didn't get converted, Grant doesn't get the penalty. Grant drew the penalty? I thought I had Grant somewhere. Oh, I ended up not playing him. Boy, that is a bucket full of emotions. Whatever. It's K-League. We'll find out on Tuesday what happened. Let's see. But since it was saved, he doesn't get it. Right. Well, I mean, I have him in Academy, so I don't even care. Sorry. Here we go. Bros Conseco. Daily new users who are making first card purchase as highest it has been in months and increasing daily. Well, it should. I mean, you can actually purchase with cards now. So I think that will continue to increase. Ryan Walter, do you think Sorare will fix the amateur redrafts, or are we stuck with swaps until they release the new mints? That was actually the biggest issue that I saw with when we were talking about releasing the amateur leagues early, and I know that they've opened them for next weekend. And we talked about it with Dan, actually. And I was like, people are posting their FPL teams. It would be fun if they could post their Sorare teams. And I did think that there's a giant issue that there are players coming into the league that people can play in FPL and cannot play in the amateur league because they come from somewhere else. Worst case, they come from an unlicensed club, so they actually don't have any cards. And like, how do they deal with that? And I don't think they want to release like the new season card designs now for the free game. So I don't know what they're going to do. But it's kind of a weird wrinkle with Sorare, and I don't know how they get past that. Because it's going to happen every year. Like every season, people are going to want the new things. Joe Ducey said, still didn't swing back to what you do. Oh, yeah. All right, let's do that. Sorry, people were asking, and I got off topic. So people want to know what else I do. If I told you that I do nothing else, and ZM said Laird's Day is just cutting pineapples in streams. So true story. No, if I excuse me, sorry, I have like a frog in my throat. If I told you that this is all I did, that I work 5 hours a week and all I do is I come on stream and I do the stream. It's not 5 hours because we're always kind of late and they go a little longer. And Ryan Walter, exactly. Is there even more to life than streams and pineapple cutting? So anyway, if I'm going to need some help from the live chat here. If I told you that this is all I do, that on Mondays from 11:30 my time, let's call it, to 1 o'clock, and Tuesdays from noon to 1, Wednesdays from 2 to 3:30, Thursdays from 1 to 2:30, and Fridays on this show were the only times that I worked. That was my whole job. That I did nothing else. Would that be okay? But I promise you I do more than this. I promise. So I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Haji's Light. If the person who pays your wages gets what they want from the hours you put in, then everyone is a winner. Oh, I like that. I like that. ZM Star said, sure, if you're making a paycheck and taking care of your family. Blue Tomatoes, I like this. If it was your YouTube channel, maybe. Okay. And Kevin Hurst said, if Maxime is watching, I'm guessing no. I don't know if Maxime is here or not. but he does sign my paychecks. So I do more than this. And it's a bit of a cyclical is not the right word. So what I do is different every week. And while you guys see the streams, which are basically the same every week, depending on what happens with Sorare affects what I do throughout the week. Because what happens on Sorare then affects what we do with SorareData, and what we do on SorareData is what affects what I do myself. So like anytime we come out with a new tool or a new feature and we need to tell everyone about it, that's my job. I have to figure out how you, Bouncy said, would you classify it as a side hustle or a second job? This is the only job I have. That's it. And there are things that I am going to explain to you guys now that are part of my job that don't sound like work. And I want, before I say anything about it, I want you to understand that I know that and I appreciate that. And I'm the first one who will admit that I don't have a real job. And I say it that way because what I do is too fun to be a job. And so that's why it's weird to talk about my job because, well, first off, we mentioned this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And I've talked about it with Maxine that the worst question anyone ever asks me is, what do you do? Because it's impossible to, like, this Sorare elevator pitch that people have been like talking about this is long. And then you have to describe this third-party database. And they were like, oh, so you're like a database guy. I'm like, oh, no, I don't do that either. I'm the content guy. And they're like, well, what does that do? So Ali said, what did you do before this? Sorry if you've covered this before. I have covered this before. I don't remember which off topic it was. It was one of the first ones where I changed it from rabbit hunting to off topic. And I told the whole story about how I got the job. But basically, I'll go quickly. Before SorareData, I worked for RotoWire, which is another fantasy company. It's been around for more than 20 years in the US that focused mainly on the American sports because that's where fantasy sports are big. And I took over they called it soccer there. I was the head of their soccer stuff. There's literally a long story that goes into how I got to RotoWire and how that turned into SorareData. And I apologize. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll tweet it out of which episode it was, but it's one of the first ones and it was towards the end. Where was I? Sorry, I'm looking in the chat because somebody brought something up and now it totally throws me off. Haji said, do you get the perks of having a French European employer in terms of holiday entitlement? I know Americans don't tend to do well in that respect. So that's a very loaded question and worth discussing. When I was at RotoWire, I pretty much worked every holiday and weekend. And that was just the nature of the job. Like I knew what I signed up for, but I did a ton of work on the weekends. And there was a time where I did a lot of work on holidays. And part of the reason for that is sports happen on holidays, particularly here in the US. Everyone's home. And so the sports leagues are like, hey, we should have games and matches and all this stuff. And you need people who do content around that stuff. They have to work those days. And so there were times, literally, I remember like Christmas morning, like my children are like opening presents and I like had to leave to do some work. And there's just some people who have to do those jobs. And I had one of them. And so now working for a French company, and to be honest, I have no idea if my current situation is a result of French working conditions isn't the right word, but working situations, or if it's Maxine, because I've never worked for a French company before. And so I do know that Maxime is very, how do I phrase this? When we work, we're expected to work. And we're more concerned with output than we are time or effort. That working harder is great, but working more efficiently is better. And working 40 hours a day isn't anything useful if you're not productive. And so with that, when you are not working, you should not work. And that is really tough for me. And it's tough for a number of reasons that really only apply to me. I realize I'm completely not talking about my job, but I'll get there. Maybe. So Sorare is my most important hobby. It also is my job. Like, I don't play Sorare for my job. Like, professionally, I don't get paid by rewards I win and thresholds. I have a salary from SorareData. But I cannot do my job without playing my hobby, if that makes sense. Like, fundamentally, so part of my job, hey, we have this new feature. We want to test it out. Please go use it and test it. Like, we internally test things a ton. And I'm not even, like, I don't even test them early. Like, I test finished products. And the amount of work that goes into testing something before it comes out, so that when we release it to everybody, we want it to work. And I realize that we have things out that are bugs, and like sometimes things don't work. Like, we know, like, we all play the game and we use SorareData to help us play the game. And so when something doesn't work, it bothers us just as much as it bothers everyone else. And so part of that is, part of my job literally is time spent of people contacting me like, hey, this isn't working. And I investigate and see what the issue is. And then I try to tell them, if I can help them, I will. And if not, then I tell them the steps they can take to get things done, to get things fixed, excuse me. So it's this weird, so not even just my personal job within SorareData, but everyone in SorareData, it's hard to do that job without really understanding Sorare. And so I personally have this, issue basically where I struggle to separate, not necessarily separate, but I'll say it for now. I have a problem separating my hobby from my job. And that when I am on my computer at night trying to figure out some horrible trade that I can send to Pavel so that I can get a better card, I'm not working. But am I working? Because like when my wife is sitting next to me and puts some TV show on that we are watching together, and I'm on my computer trying to like get this trade built, she sees SorareData on my screen and she's like, oh, you're working. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of working because I'm just like trying to make my own gallery better. But I also use the SorareData tools to do this. And so Alex said I'd class that as overtime. But like, I could not do that stuff. I think it would be really hard for me to even do these videos without knowing what's going on, or using tools that people use and figuring out why they use them and how they use them. And so there are a lot of times where people come to me and they say, so Rika said scouting isn't working. That I agree with. But at what point does it become working when it's like, this was how I was scouting and using our tools to do it? And then, oh wait, hey, what if this page actually did this? Or why do we have this here? And so Joe Ducey said the perfect excuse always. And Blue Tomato said, so you always have a good excuse. Like that. So I could be doing the same thing. I could be doing one thing, right? I'll use that example. I'm sitting down using our trade builder to figure out a trade that I can send to somebody to get a card that I want to make my gallery better. And my wife looks at my computer and is like, oh, you're working. And Maxime looks at my computer and he's like, you're not working. And so Joe Ducey again, isn't scouting working if it influences your limited show? I don't know. And I'll take it even a step further, that there are people who I talk to all the time that I talk to because of Sorare. And I don't consider it working when I'm talking to them. Like that's not, like if I talk to Andy, I don't think it's working. But it's like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm talking to my friend Andy, or I'm talking to Andy. I don't even, well, what are you talking about? Well, we're talking about Sorare. So you're working? No. So Matt said, when the thing you do is in your own interest, it's your free time. If not, it's working. But I think it could be both. Like, what if, so part of what we all do at SorareData, and this isn't like an active thing, but all of us play the game. And so fundamentally, if there is like something that we think of, some new tool, be like, hey, it would be really cool if we had something that did this. And I came up to that thing, that idea, because of my own interest of making my cards better. At what point does it move from my hobby to my job? Now, I understand that there are maybe not even a handful of people that this even applies to. But I struggle with figuring out where that line is. So I'm going on vacation next week. Don't worry, there will be plenty of content every day. At some point, I'm going to have to set lineups. That, not working. I get it. But I'm also on my computer on SorareData when I should be away. So it's not working. I don't think that's working at all. But I still have to do it. I'm still doing something that looks like work. Let me see what some of the Looking for Food says, do you think there's a day in the week where you shut off from both Sorare and SorareData? There is not. There is not for me. Like I cannot turn that off. And part of it is because of the hobby part. Like people spend their free time doing their hobbies. And me playing Sorare is that, sort of. And so it's very difficult for me to turn that off. Yeah, it's really hard for me. And it was actually easier when I did like DFS stuff, like at RotoWire, I could turn off because I ended up hating DFS at the end. Like I played it because I had to for work to again, when you work for somewhere, when you work for a company who like fundamentally is built to help other people do something, you have to understand what they're doing. And the only way to do that is to actually do it. Like people can tell you all they want. How many times does Sorare announce something and all of us are like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you think that? And the answer is always because like they don't play the game. And so playing the game makes you understand what people want. And so I don't think that I will admit, I don't think me going through Pavel's gallery and looking for cards that I want in my gallery is working. I get that totally. But I think but there is a small part of it where I understand that other people are doing this. And if they are doing it, what's that experience like? Could we make it any better? Is it something that's worth talking about on a stream that people are going to watch? And like, you guys would not watch any Sorare content, excuse me, SorareData content, if none of us played, because we would have no idea what we were talking about. Nothing would be helpful. Nothing would be entertaining, because we'd be making these jokes that have nothing to do with Sorare, or they would just completely fall flat. Like, it all goes into it. And so that actually will bring me to another point that will kind of emphasize how fake my job is. I'm going to hit some comments first, though. Sorare Josh said, that's one of the downsides of working from home, I guess. It's hard to switch off fully. The problem is, even if I went to an office, I think it would still, like, I was actually going to talk about this on a previous show and I totally forgot. Sorare is constantly on my mind. And I pretty much explained why just now. But like, it's really hard for me to stop thinking about Sorare. And I think it's good that I know that. Like, I recognize it. And I don't think it's like unhealthy. I'm not like missing out on things because of Sorare, I don't think. But I find it really hard to separate it, because I really like watching football. And then, like, if something happens and it's like, oh, I have that Sorare card, which means a lineup might be good. And now I'm just like back to it. And yeah. Numero says, you're like, what is that? Schrodinger's cat? I don't know what that is. You are working and not working at the same time. No way to know. Aaron Walker says you need a pay raise. No, I don't. Burger said, are you afraid of getting burned out? So I was burned out at the end of RotoWire, but I didn't know it until I left. And I know how I felt when I left, and I don't feel remotely close now. Like, I don't feel that way now. And so I don't feel burned out. And a lot of it is because what I do is a lot more fun than what I used to do. And like, I get a lot of joy out of what Sorare has brought me. Like, I talk to people that I really like, and we get to share experiences. I'm not even talking about like the MLS All-Star game, but just like when everybody has a card of the same guy and they score, like, we all can celebrate. Like, there's a lot of positive things that go into relationships that make this an enjoyable experience for me. And so that's part of the reason why I don't necessarily want to shut myself off from it, because it's like, oh, I'm having fun with this. And I'm very much a person who doesn't let things that don't affect them bother them. There was let's see if I can find it. It's attributed to Mickey Rivers, who played for the New York Yankees years ago. And I have no idea. I assume this is one of those like Michael Scott quotes that like Mickey Rivers didn't actually say this himself. But the quote is, ain't no sense worrying about the things you got control over, because if you've got control over them, ain't no sense worrying. And ain't no sense worrying about the things you don't got control over, because if you don't got control over them, ain't no sense worrying. And that's how I feel. And that things that I cannot control, most things I can't control them. So I'm not going to worry about them. And things I can control, I'll just control them. And so I don't have to worry about it. But I don't know how to control this Sorare mind. Sorare Holland said, I have a small gallery, but I think about Sorare more than my own wife, which I just wouldn't tell her that. Sorry. Brad said, you actually don't have to set lineups while on vacation, but I get that you will. My question is, how much would it blow your wife's mind if you didn't? She wouldn't even know. Like, she's not. My son would know. Yeah. I mean, Haji said, Well, as the saying goes, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life might not quite be there, but it sounds like you're closer than most. I am there. Like I actually am there. And I do things that I never thought I would ever do in work. Talking right now, how long have we been going here? 55 minutes. Never did I think I would do solo streams. And I did one once early on with SorareData, and it was awful. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. And I saw guys like Nep and Chani and Haber, and they do them. And I was just like, they look like they're having fun. And people like watching it. And so I have to try it again. And now this is like one of my favorite hours of the week. So thank you to everybody who's here, because you guys make this happen. I can't actually talk to myself for an hour, but the chat and everything makes it really enjoyable. So thank you for that. And going back to the, you don't actually have to set lineups. So you're right. Like Craig, or Brad, excuse me, you are absolutely right that I don't have to, but I want to. Like I like Sorare. I like setting lineups. And so when I'm on vacation, if I can do something that I like, I'm going to do it. And so then I go on to the SorareData lineup builder and I start building lineups, and it's like, oh wait, you're working. And I'm like, I'm not really. Yeah. What do you got, Surface? Been interesting watching your career. You left what I agree seems like somewhat of a monotonous job to take a chance, and now you've kind of shifted into a brand YouTuber, which I hope you enjoy. So the YouTube stuff is funny because I spend more time talking to a camera than most people do in life. And it's just weird. It's weird. That's all. Ryan Walter said, Laird, don't tell her that. Free marriage advice. This is the best value pot of all time. I'm just saying. Service said, you get to hang virtually with all of your friends all day shooting the shit. That's the best part of So Rare. It's like a 21st century real life version of Cheers. Man, that's an awesome way to describe it. Unlike Tuggy here, who said you're basically a drug dealer supplying all of us junkies with your So Rare content itch. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Sorry, that threw me off, the drug dealer. So Blue Tomatoes is right. I have not actually said what I do at SorareData besides streaming. So it's a whole bunch of other things. If it's taking time to test features that we're coming out with, trying to come up with new ones or ways that new features will work. To be honest, I've been working not productively, I will completely admit, on redesigning our impact players tool that I don't know how many people care about this. I know of one, I know of two, but I'm one of them. But basically, I think it's really interesting if you could have a single page where you can look at a player and see where all of their cards were played. So you could see, if you're looking at, I was going to say Mbappe, but that's a bad one. Vinicius Jr. now. And you want to see like, all right, Vinicius Jr. Limited cards. How many are there? How many were played this week? How many were played in U23? How many played in Champion Europe? How many were played in Cat 240 and all this stuff? That is a monster tool that is not just like, oh yeah, just do it. Like you have to figure out how that would work and how to design it. And it's become like a pet project of mine. I spend way too much time thinking of it and not enough time actually figuring out how it would be done. And you guys are thinking that it would be good as well. Nobody else knows about this. Like, please don't start thinking it's coming. So Bouncy, exactly. Basically, how many am I playing against? So so there's so much more to that too, because I want to see, like, if you go into Challenger or you're playing in Challenger Europe Rare and somebody is a surprise scratch, and you're like, I want to see how many lineups have that player. And you can kind of see how many lineups there are, but if you want to see it throughout, like all of Sorare, like if Tadic doesn't play, well, that kills a bunch of Challenger teams, kills some All-Star teams. Does it kill All-Star Rare teams more than All-Star Rare Pro? There's just a whole bunch. And so that's just something that I spend time working on. We're going to have we're coming out with some new things soon. Maxime has kind of hinted that things are coming. I know what they are. I cannot say what they are right now because we're not there yet. But when we talk about it, when we announce everything, that's me. So like I have to write all of these things that are coming out and prepare some videos and figure out the right ways. So that's another thing. So sorry, I was looking at some comments here. I actually learned this from my mom, who had a completely unrelated job, but she explained it to me once. There is a part of my job that is thinking. And I think that doesn't happen with a lot of people, but thinking about Sorare and making SorareData better is part of my job. And I realize how stupid that sounds because you just picture me like at a desk somewhere and I'm just like, and thinking that's working. But part of it is. And whether it's thinking of how we phrase certain things on the site or coming up with the newsletter that we abandoned and I have to get back on, or figuring out why my SQL query is not working for my database or my database query so that I can figure out how many people are playing Tadic in Challenger Europe Rare automatically versus the other competitions. And it's just a whole bunch of random stuff like that contributes to what we do. And so, like I said, we're coming out with a few things soon. And so I have like this crunch of like, oh, we need to announce it in these places and this is how we're going to do it and just go figure it out. And like, that's my job to go figure out how we're going to, whether it's going to be on Medium or Twitter, or I'll do YouTube videos explaining all these things. And I'll do the weatherman thing where I'll stand up and point on the site and teaching people how to use whatever we come out with. And so there are times where we don't come out with new features. You know, we do come out with stuff a lot, but like there are times where it's slower. And then when it's time, it's like, all right, that's when I have to really hunker down and get some shit done. And that's what comes from me. Like fundamentally, I'm the one who tells the world what SorareData is doing in English, or I do it in English and then somebody else does it in French. But like the words come from me. That's what I was hired to do. And that's like somebody needs to do that work. And I think that's one of the things that people kind of overlook, that when we have announcements on the site or just pop-ups, like the words that go into those are usually ones that somebody came up with and I completely rewrote because that's just how I do it. So the Bouncy was saying, I think you should add the most in the impact players, the most captains. So the idea is that the impact players based on power did that, but I just don't think people use it the right way, and figuring out how to present that in a more user-friendly manner is better for us. And that, again, like that's something we work on. And when people like come up with new features and they're like, hey, can you like add this? It's really easy. And it's like, well, it might be easy, but we have priorities of things that we think are more important and we work on those until they're done. And not to say we work on just one thing until it's done, but we prioritize everything we do. Meaning we know what the top priority items are and we start with those. And sometimes things get pushed up. And sometimes Sorare announces a collection game and we have to drop everything and build new things for that. And so figuring out, hey, how do you think this should look? What word should we use to do that? Like that, I don't design any of that stuff, but Blue Tomato said, means you also work a lot with the UI UX designers, right? I do some, yes, absolutely. Our designers are awesome. Like Aurelian and Vincent are so good at what they do. And if anybody used, this is going to be a total knock on Maxime, but he understands it and he agrees. But if you ever looked at SorareData before we had designers, it looks like something that was done by somebody who doesn't have designers. But they're so good. And they've completely opened my eyes to what design really is, because I think a lot of us just look at it as like, oh, just make this look good. But there's so much less about it's less about making it look good and more about designing it so that it works intuitively and easily. Hey, do you want the button on the right side or the left side? Actually, that's a perfect example. Actually, now that I say that, yeah, here, let me pull this up. The lineup builder used to have to add a player into the lineup, the button used to be over here on the right side. And I think it was Vincent who was like, hey, why don't we just put it here? Because it's right next to the lineup. And it was like, I don't know, does that matter? And then we tested it on the other side and it was like, this is so much better. You're not scrolling across the whole screen. And that seems so trivial, but it's absolutely an improvement. And it was like, oh, the button probably looks actually, it's a nicer looking button too. But it's like things like that I just never considered. And when it comes to design, it's like, oh, there's a lot more than just like, hey, do you like this in red or blue? Like, I mean, most people don't know the details about other people's jobs anyway. So I just didn't know that about designers. But the ones we have are awesome. And it makes everyone I work with is just so good at what they do. And it's kind of astonishing. I jokingly say, but I'm also dead serious, that among the full-time SorareData employees, I am by far the dumbest. And I'm cool with that because I don't think I'm dumb, but the people I work with are really, really smart and really good at what they do. And it's just fun that we all got to get together and work on this cool website that helps us figure out what to do with our JPEGs. It's cool. It's really, really cool. Brad, this is the last question because I actually have to go. But he said, SorareData site is so much better than Sorare's. I don't know why they don't just hire you guys to merge the two. So, and then Ricky said, are there any employees that don't play? So to Brad's question, and I think Maxime has been open about this, but I think very early on, they talked about hiring Maxime and he said no. And I don't know if there are any. Sorare is an investor into SorareData, so we've announced that a while ago. But in the first fundraising round, we announced that. And part of the reason that SorareData is so good is because we all play the game, and Sorare employees are not allowed to play the game. And I think that's the right decision, but it also leads them into weird decisions and situations. And so it's kind of a rock and a hard place with them. But I would not want to work for Sorare because I don't want to give up playing Sorare. And that's a big reason why we don't even consider selling to them. And Ricky, there are employees who do not play, and all on our tech side, which doesn't mean one thing or the other. Actually, I don't know if they all don't play anymore. When they started, they did not play. They may all play now. I actually don't even know. Sell Sorare the smart search function, please. That's a good one too. So yeah, I don't think I actually answered the question because I don't think that there's an easy, like, these are exactly the tasks I do, because I don't have daily tasks other than record a stream, download it, and upload it to Anchor so that it's on our podcast feed. SR Monkey said, Sorare employees do play the game. They just can't profit from it. So most just play free to play. Yeah. I don't know. It's different. It's different. And Chani is here just for me to say goodbye. But Chani, you can always go back. It's on the internet. It'll be there forever. Thank you to everybody for joining. Like I said, I'm off next week. There will be a full slate. We actually might have more content next week than what we normally have. Monday is going to be the strategy show with Sean and Josh Forth, which I'm a little upset about because I actually haven't done a show with Josh, but I think he's super sharp. And so the two of them will be on Monday. Sean and Maxime will do office hours on Tuesday. Wednesday, I will be posting a video about, I might post both. I have two videos. I haven't figured out actually which days I'm going to release them. But I talked to Nepenthes in one about microtransactions and how they can either save or ruin Sorare. I think that's what we called it. So there's that one. That was a really fun conversation because obviously coming from FIFA, which is like the king of microtransactions. There, I did another one talking to 3 Sorare managers, Tugford, Scosmo, and Haber, all about using traders and how they do it. It's basically like 20 to 30 minutes with each of them, which I thought that one was really fun. So I think those will go out Wednesday. Thursday, Sorare Andrews is happening, but without me. Gator Guy is filling in for me. So it'll be Andy and Gator Guy and Keith, which I think will be a blast. And then Friday, I believe there will be an off topic, but it will not be with me. And so you'll just have to find out who it's with next Friday. Thanks everyone for joining. This was a ton of fun. It's fun every time. Like I said, I have a fake job. Hopefully I described to you what my fake job is. And it sounds a little less fake, even though it doesn't. And the live chat and everybody who watch and comment on it, like, makes this whole experience great. And I hope that it makes the content better. Like, I hope that you guys are enjoying this because I am certainly enjoying it. And it's just better when everyone does. So thank you to everybody. Good luck this game week. Good luck next week while I'm off. The Champion Europe is back for everybody who cares about those. So thank you and good luck.